Well, I did it. I found Lewis and Clark's missing fort when they're out here somewhere in Oregon. People have been looking for it for a long time because it was in one of the documentaries, but nobody seemed to have found it yet. Well, I just found it. Of course, granted, that's only if Lewis and Clark are around within the last 10 years. Because I know this area has been burned and somebody built it since it was burned. So it's 10 years or younger, and just looking at it, and I think it's from this last year, perhaps 2 years. But anyway, that's a Crossman 2100 pellet BB gun. Kind of similar to one I had growing up that finally broke, so I replaced it with this awesome grouse gun. So I'm actually out looking for grouse, and I came across this. I don't know if it's really a shelter or it's pretty cool though, because somebody put in some time building this like doorway. They had a plan. There's another one right down here. That's not quite as well built, but there had to have been a couple guys doing it because there's some big, they moved some big logs in here. But anyway, so I got my grouse getter if I find one. Just got this bush Spyderco bushcrafter on the closeout deal. I've been looking for a bushcraft, well, Scandi fixed blade. I do have a Mora that I really like, but I've been always kind of looking at this, and it was on sale, so I picked it up, and it's awesome. I don't think it does anything more than the Mora, but it's a pretty damn nice knife. And I have got a couple. It has gutted a couple grouse. Or actually, it's not really gutting. You only really need the tip of it, just to slice the breast and then pull the wings and kind of pull the breast out. But anyway, this review, which I've been waiting to do, is on the Benchmade AFO. And this particular one is a 9050. That's been in a couple other videos that I've had. Awesome knife. Now it was replacement. Actually, that was the first replacement, but replacement for the one that I had bought in 2002 and lost in 2014. And the only difference between that knife and this knife is, well, actually, this came with a black painted pocket clip that I've since replaced with one of their black oxide clips because it was getting kind of scuffed up. And then it has the stop pin as one of those hexagonal stop pins that I could probably leave. I don't necessarily think it's necessary. It kind of adds a little quirkiness. Now this particular knife, is perfectly centered. And I like how it was ground originally, where you can see that, I don't know if you would call it a beard in this point, but here's the serrations. And the belly here is properly even with back here in the ricasso, or the back of the grind. I don't know if that really makes sense. Basically, if you set it on top of something level, that point there and that point there match up. Now, since then, I've bought another AFO 9050 that it's not. It was ground pretty hard up here. You're probably losing a millimeter or a 16, I don't know, 32nds of an inch, 16th, probably not 16th, probably 32nd. And then this one is one that I've had for a few years. This one I bought in a year ago. This one I bought in 2015. Is a AFO 9051. So it's the next generation from that. And the differences on it, the handle shape is a little different. The blade itself is a little deeper. It's probably, I can't really say it's a better slicer. It's probably going to be a longer lived blade because it is such a deeper blade. And they're both extremely, in my opinion, okay, So I've stated this in another video. I've never had a dedicated slicing knife. I've never owned a kitchen knife, though, you know, I've used them and sharpened them like my parents or whatnot, or girlfriends, you know, kitchen knives I've sharpened. But I've always, you know, if I'm on my own or doing my own thing, I always just pull this, whichever one I'm packing, I use that. Heck, I'd even do it at a restaurant. No, I probably wouldn't. I would be tempted, but during fire season, you know, fire camp and crap, you know, you get plastic. If you're at a fire camp, you're going to be eating a plastic stuff. And if I'm eating a steak or whatever, I can very carefully, without going through the paper plate, I'll just use this. Or if I'm on my own. Like, actually, I'm out camping right now. Trying to milk out the rest of the fire season. I'm kind of on call still for California, so I'm still down here in the southern part of the state. Well, central. Waiting for a call that may or may not come. But I don't care. As soon as it snows, it's going to be skiing season anyway. So these guys, I've stated this in my other videos if anybody's ever watched them, but my favorite knives ever of all time. Like a guy could say that, a buck 110, which actually, funnily enough, I have on me as well. Which I've stated in other videos. I pretty much always carry one of these. I don't know why. I never really pull it out to use it. But I guess, you know, honestly, if I do get a grouse today, I'll probably use this one because I don't really have, that's not stainless, and I could clean it off, but I'd rather not. This one, I know I can just wipe this one off. Heck, to disinfect it, I actually have a disinfectant. But that one, I don't know. It's pretty dry here. I probably wouldn't rust. So, I just pulled this off Benchmade's website. 5-inch handle, or 4 95/100 inch handle. Pretty much a 3.6-inch blade, and 125 thou 1/8-inch thick blade. So it's over, I don't know, 3 5/8 blade, 1/8-inch stock. Really nice taper down the tip. Not too thin, not like paramilitary too thin, but pretty thin. It definitely's got a distal taper. I don't know how this is turning up. Actually, I could probably take my sunglasses off. Nice and thin. It's a great slicer. And I had that other one previously, the 9050, without the hexagonal stop pin. And I'll talk about that here in a moment. But this is actually an excellent slicer too. Now, when I had the first one, I've always loved knives. I've never owned, now I own several, but until I lost this one, you know, the one previously to this, that's pretty much that. And my Buck 110 are the only knives I've ever real knives I've ever owned. I think I was a Walmart once or twice, and I'd bought like a SOG or something like that, because they look cool and they were junk. Junk. The only two knives since this time, and I would put that at 2015, since I've been kind of buying knives, which I should stop because I'd rather put money into mountain bike stuff. The only two knives I regret buying, well, there's one for sure, and that was an Emerson. And Emerson Super CQ C7. I could do a review on that. All I could say is that good blade. I like the material they use, except for the liner lock wore out within a month. Lots of lock rock. Just bullshit, pretty much. And then also I kind of regret, in a way, spending this much money, because I really don't think it was worth it. But that Tops Fieldcraft folder, really cool knife, really unnecessary. Kind of like if you wanted a Scandi folder, you could pay $35 for a cold steel Finn Wolf and it's just a better knife. Not made out of the same material though. I do like that 1095, which I am currently with a Sharp Spyderco Sharpmaker medium rod. I'm reprofiling it to a true Scandi currently, and it's working. So that's one cool about that 1095 steel is it is easy to sharpen. Otherwise, though, that knife was kind of a dog so far until I get that fixed. But back to these guys. So I looked up the specs on that Benchmade. So this one is 5.8 ounces. This one might be a tad lighter because it doesn't have this, whatever you want to call it, glass breaker, which is take it or leave it. I don't really mind it. They could have made it flat. I wouldn't have even really minded if they would have brought it out a little bit and made it flat, because then at least you could use it like a hammer. If I ever have to actually strike, I guess it works as I wouldn't know, but as a glass breaker. If I ever had to hit somebody with a knife, I'd probably prefer to stab them or hit them with a fist. I don't think that, I'm not trained, though I can throw a punch, but I'm not, oh damn. I'm not trained to, be like pulling this out of my pocket and like using it as a whatever, hit one of their nerves or pressure points or whatever. So, 5.8 ounces. This one might be 5.5 ounces. See if I can tell any difference here. And I can't. So it doesn't feel heavy though to me. Like I could pick up the Microtech SOCOM Elite Auto that I have, and I think I can tell you that it's lighter. I do know on that knife the handle is lighter. Like the balance point on that knife is right there at the pivot. This one particularly is about right there, finger choil, which I think is normal. Pretty much all the other knives I have. I just noticed that Microtech for one was a little different. And this guy, it's about the same. So yeah, they're probably about this. They could be actually the same length, though that one does have it is a thicker. It does have a broader belly on it. But anyway, so these guys. Hey, you already know I like these knives, love them. It's kind of like my Buck 110. Some people just love those knives, and I do too. But I really love these too because they got a pocket clip, so they're a little different. They have Bucks with pocket clips, but that'd be kind of like, God, I don't know, taking an old classic road sport car or something and putting an automatic transmission in it, wouldn't it? So I really wouldn't, or whatever, I really wouldn't want to. I'm not interested in any buck knife with a pocket clip. They are what they are. Two-handed opener, two-handed shut, awesome knives. Why change perfection? But these guys, it's an auto, still clean blade, no thumb stud. And in my opinion, it's my luck so far, and I did use. This one's been used quite a bit. This one is kind of semi-retired. I don't carry this one anymore. Though, yeah, whatever. Because I do prefer this one. This one's kind of quirky with the lockup. I don't know if you heard that, but as soon as you open it, you can actually take your thumb. Okay, cool. I didn't do it that time. Just a tiny little tick, and if you push the tick out, then the lockup is absolutely solid. And I've never had, none of these have ever had any. You never get up and down play. You only get side to side if the pivot's loose. You can never get much because the tolerances in here are pretty tight. I don't even know if you can see down in there. But especially on these older ones, because I don't even know if they have washers in here, or the blade is just sitting on the aluminum, like they have some of those raised pieces that are like washers. So I don't know, but awesome. This one doesn't have the tick, and it's not as quirky with this with the lock pin. Now, I will do a review on my other knife. I did find a 9050 It's red. That was from the same period as my first AFO was, that does not have the adjustable stop pin. It is round, and the tolerances are even tighter in that thing. Like you can't even really, you could go like, you could look here and you wouldn't even be able to see a gap between the blade and the handle. And I mean, the lockup is perfect. No play up, down, left or right. It's awesome. That's would be my preference. Really beautiful knife too. It's anodized red, and I don't know if I want to carry it. If I could get my hands on, I'd like, and this brand new. I mean, like probably nobody ever touched it. If I could get one like that, like this was, but if I could get it without that adjustable stop pin, I'd be all over that too. Like a mint AFO that I'm talking about with no adjustable stop pin. Bam, done. A couple have popped up like on eBay recently, the 9000 with no pocket clip, which I'm like, well, that'd be cool, but I'm always after the one that I lost. So I still am. I'm very happy with that. Pretty happy with this. And this one is an improvement. It's got a bigger, well, theoretically it's an improvement. It's got the bigger belly, broader belly, deeper belly, bigger push button, supposedly a bigger spring, maybe, or a stronger spring, maybe. Never had any haven't had any problems with this in 2 years. Never had the other one, problem with the other one in 12 years. I love the 154 CM on both of these blades. It works well, holds an edge for me, for what I use a knife for. Easy to sharpen and does not rust. I had that other one in saltwater even. Granted, I did like your snorkeling gear or any other kind of gear, you know, you get out of saltwater, you rinse it off with fresh water. That's just what you do. And that's what I did. And I've never had any issues with that 154 or this knife in general, nothing inside. Granted, I never took it apart. Awesome. So another advantage, in my opinion, of this over that is cleaning it. Like, I don't know if you can see down in there once again, but it is solid, smooth aluminum on both handle pieces. No real cracks or crannies or nooks or crannies or whatever in there. Really easy to clean out. If worst came to worst and you wanted to disinfect the knife, shoot, you could squirt, disinfectant down in there and then rinse it out with water. But I'd never, with that other knife, I never had any issues whatsoever. I never oiled it. This one I have actually oiled, though it's been a while, and I probably will not oil it again because I just think that attracts dirt, which attracts wear, just like on a bike chain. If you use a wet lube, it just attracts dirt. It's just going to be wearing out your drivetrain. If you use a dry wax, which I use, it doesn't. And plus, if you have to work on it or whatever, your hands will get dirty. You can just go like that; it comes off. So yeah. Of course, it does come with the cool. This came with this sheath. Those will come with the old style sheath. Just Corduro with the Velcro, and they work. They work. Nothing fancy about them. This one I do like. I think it's cool. I wouldn't really put this on a pack though, and I'm not gonna wear this on my belt because it's got this Velcro that just be rubbing on you. And then this is probably gonna be. Seems like it would just saw in your belt or saw in your pants or something. So I've never actually used these. I use it just to put the knife in and throw it in the pack. But it's a well-built sheath. I like it. So yeah, awesome knives. I think that if you had any problems, you can just send them into Benchmade and they would fix it for you. Though I've never needed that actually with any of my Benchmades, except for a few broken axis lock Omega springs on some of their folders, which I will say, this for example, I've had this for a few years now. I got a new blade for it though, because I actually had one of the Cabela's exclusives, and I sent it in for a new blade, and then I went in and threw that D2 black blade on my on this knife. But this particular axis lock knife, never had any issues with the Omega springs. I have a Crooked River, no problems. Presidio 2, no problems yet. Though that one, looking at it, I think I may eventually. The only axe, and then it's my 710, no problems. I think the knives where the blade tang pushes that block bar the furthest is where you're going to run into problems. This one's pretty short on the Griptilian, so theoretically, you would not have problems with the Mega Springs on an axis lock Griptilian. Or definitely the grip. Okay, for me personally, I will say definitely not the Griptilian, definitely not the 710, because they're both short travel. You can look at all both these knives, and it's a short travel. See that how the lock spring or the lock bar moves, very short distance. Okay, on the Presidio 1, I would break them once a month, and I think that may be why they discontinued that model. I don't know. It's a good knife, but it is like ½ inch of travel, and that the springs will just wear out. What other knife did I have? Oh, my striker. For whatever reason, it doesn't seem to be a lot of trouble, but on my Axis striker, I have broken springs in that too. But all the other ones, no problem. So, that's just me. So that's basically, I love Benchmade knives. I will always have these, and hopefully I just don't lose this one. I feel like this one will last, forever as well. This one would, but and I also have another one that's just mint condition that I bought before. I bought this once without uncoated, but I thought, no, I want what I wanted before, so I went ahead and got the coated. This was like 3 years ago, so that one is just sitting, not in a safe, but it's sitting in a box, and I'll have that for backup just in case something happens to these. This one, I will throw this into the sheath and it'll be my pack. This one I always carry. Yeah, so that's all I got. Some people might think that or you can also see on these older ones, even if you put it tip up, there's still a lot of handle space up there. This one, if you put it tip down, obviously a lot, but I really don't mind that. This one, tip down, lots of room. But on these newer ones, if you go tip up, that's all it shows above your pocket, about like that. So for those that want that might help. What else was I going to say? I had another thought. Well, I can't really remember what it was. However, my favorites, I highly recommend them. They're kind of spendy. Oh, one thing I could say is I've done when I was hunting for this. I have come up with a little research, which is kind of cool. Because I could say that Microtech is probably the better belt knife, better design, whatever you want to say. I don't know. Construction wise, these ones have a lot of history. Now there's the Florida black knife, and I could be wrong about this, but I'll say a few things. The Florida black knife, I think some guy down in Florida, such and such, working Marines, Delta Force, something, came up with an auto knife, called it the black knife. Built a few of them, sold them to officers, sold them to the military or something. So that design, then I think Almar knives, they got a hold of it. And they were making them for a while. Maybe Benchmade was making them for Almar. I don't know. But just the basic, this looks different than those original ones. And then also Microtech has that LUDT, which is real catchy. I wouldn't mind picking up one of those either, except for I don't like the hardware, so I probably won't. And this already fits the bill on this design. But it's a really cool, for me, perfect. It fits I wear extra large gloves. I don't have like fat fingers or anything. They're on the camera, they always look, whatever, but fits my hand perfectly. Actually, I have room. It's got that palm swell. I use that first one for lots of extended, like carving and cutting. I haven't with this yet, honestly. But it will do that, and then no real hot spots. Pocket clip maybe, but actually if you go tip up on it, it kind of falls right in the middle of your palm. Maybe that's why they put the clip down that low. It's just a perfect fit. And of course, reverse grip, perfect. And then you're whittling on stuff, you got a draw cut. Awesome handle shape. So pretty much this particular design through the years, the military deal, has been around since the 80s in different iterations, and then I'm sure there's been changes, but this looks like that 9000 series. So these are from the 90s at least. I won't say 80s, but Benchmade's been making these since the 90s. I don't know if mid 90s, at least the late 90s with that 9000. Excuse me. So, I've been rambling a lot. I just love these knives. Highly recommend them. All right, have a good day.